Welcome to this Angular Linear Gauge component tutorial. With this Syncfusion Angular Linear Gauge component, you can plot numeric values on a linear scale and take advantage of features such as multiple axes and different orientations. You can customize the appearance of the gauge to simulate various instruments such as a thermometer, pressure gauge, or ruler. In this video, I will demonstrate how to create an Angular app and add the Angular Linear Gauge component to it, with a few of its basic features, such as changing the axis point of value, setting a custom height and width to the axis, and adding multiple ranges to the axis. Let me start with the application creation process. I'm going to create an Angular application using the Angular CLI tool. Make sure you have installed the latest version of Node.js. I will edit my code using Visual Studio Code and view the output in Google Chrome. To create a project in Angular, I open Visual Studio Code and install the Angular CLI using the command npm install -g at angular/CLI. I use the ng new project name command and name my project my Angular app. I am going to create a project with a CSS style sheet, so I choose the CSS option. The project creation has started. Now let me navigate to the project folder. To add the Syncfusion Angular Linear Gauge component, I need to use the command npm install at syncfusion/ej2 Angular Linear Gauge --save. This will install the package along with its dependencies. The application is now ready to use. The first thing I must do here is register the trial license key to use Syncfusion components. So I open the main.ts file and import the register license method from the Syncfusion ej2 base package. Using this method, I register the trial license key. For instructions on generating this license key, refer to the link in the description below. Now, the application is configured to use Syncfusion Angular components. Next, I navigate to the app component.ts file and import the linear gauge module from the Syncfusion Angular Linear Gauge package. I register it within the imports array of the component section. To add the Angular Linear Gauge component, I move to the app component HTML file and remove its default content first. Then I add an HTML division element with the appropriate style. Within the division element, I add the linear gauge component by adding an EJS linear gauge tag. Save the changes and run the application by using the ng-serve command. Here you can see the linear gauge displayed with elements like an axis line, a pointer, labels, and ticks. By default, the axis line height is based on the base element height and the width is 2 pixels. You can set a custom height and width using the height and width properties, which I will do shortly. To set the custom height and width to the axis line, first I need to add an axis tag which can contain n number of axes. Since the gauge holds a single axis, I will add a single axis tag. To set the custom height and width for the axis line, I navigate to the app component.ts file. I declare an object named line in the app component class. I define ng on init method. Inside it, I call the line object and set the height to 350 pixels and the width to 7 pixels. I also set the color property to an appropriate value. I set this line object to the line property of the axis tag. Now the axis line is displayed with a custom height and width and it is colored blue. Here, the default pointer value is 0. If I want to change the pointer value to 80, I add an ePointers tag which can contain n number of pointer definitions. Since this linear gauge holds a single point element, let me add a singly pointed tag and set its value to 80. See now, the point of value is 80. Next, to set the ranges for this axis, I add an eRanges tag which can contain n number of eRange tags. First, I will show you how to add a single range to this linear gauge. I add an eRange tag and set the start property to 30 and the end property to 60. See the ranges from 30 to 60 on the axis scale. Now I will show you how to add multiple ranges to a linear gauge and display them in different colors. First, I add one more eRange tag within the eRanges tag. I want to set the range from 60 to 90. So I set the start property to 60 and the end property to 90. Then I set the color property to an appropriate value. Checking the gauge now, the newly added range between 60 and 90 is green. See the labels here which display numeric values by default. I can also display custom labels using the format property. I define an object named label style, and within it, I set the format property to the customized value with an additional suffix degrees Celsius. Here, the value represents the data label. I set this label style object to the label style property of the axis tag. Now you can see the linear gauge labels displaying the values in degrees Celsius format. In this video, I have shown you how to create an Angular app and add the Syncfusion Angular Linear Gauge component to it, plus how to change the axis point of value, set a custom height and width to the axis line, and add multiple ranges to the axis. If you want to interact with the examples shown in this video, you can download it from the GitHub link provided in the video description. I have also provided a link where you can see if you qualify for a free license key to use our Angular products through our community license. If you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.